piece that goes around the inside of the top of the skirt. And again, facings, it's not the same as interfacing. Interfacing is the glued sort of light netting, non-woven fabric that is ironed onto that piece. So this is interfacing, but the piece itself is called facing. The interfacing, and you can think about the word inter meaning like in between, is going to go in between the facing and the actual skirt. So make sure when you sew this on, when you do right sides together, that the interfacing part is on the outside, the wrong side, right? So remember when we did the back facing for the bodice piece? This is essentially the same idea. We're going to do understitching, and again, understitching is going to be this 1/8 inch stitch line that is going to be on the facing side, and it holds all of the seam allowance to that facing so that it kind of keeps it inside. Again, facings give shape to the whatever, the waistline or the neck hole or the armhole, and make it so that you don't have any top stitching on that outside, okay? So it's a nice clean line, and it also gives a little structure because of that interfacing. So before we actually sew the interfacing to the skirt, we have to sew the interfacing to itself. So you have 3 pieces. You have a front facing and 2 back facings. You really want to make sure that you're going to do your side seams to the correct side seam, and again, these should be mirror images. If you accidentally interface them the same way, then you're going to have one part that's on your interfacing is on the wrong side. So make sure that that center back seam is the straight seam, and your side seams have a little notch in them, and that's telling you, because this is kind of hard, it can look, if you don't know these pieces, it can look like a flat rectangle, and how do you know which way it is? It is different though, it is not perfectly symmetrical. But there is a notch, and because my interfacing is on there, it's hard to see, but there is a notch there, and that's gonna match up with the side seam on your front piece. So you're gonna sew those 2 side seams on your facings together, just like you did for your skirt, and they're going to be a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and you're gonna do regular 2 stitch length, 2.5, whatever, you know what I mean. And you would press these open just like you would your side seam on your skirt. I'm just not going to do that because I don't want to break the flow here. And just again, double check and make sure those notches are matching. The curve should match too. It'll give you a clue. If you sit this down and it doesn't look like a skirt top, then it's not going to. Now you really want to be sure that you are careful with your seam allowances on facings, because this is essentially what you're doing is you're completing the circle. This is your center back seam that we just did, and so these seams, these side seams, have to match up with your side seams of your skirt. If you accidentally sew this at 1/4 inch, this is not going to fit anymore, and you're going to run into some problems, okay? So now we're going to take this over to the skirt.